Really? Really? We're talking about this again? What's up, guys? It's me, it's that guy Tommy, and this is literally feeling like every time I talk about WWE, it feels like a literal episode of Star Trek, and I'm just saying damage report. Just tell me what went wrong. Okay, so this news is several days old, and the only reason I haven't spoken about it before now is because I needed to process. Because, okay, you're talking about the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston leaving WWE, deciding to not renew their contract, not taking the 50% pay cut that is rumored to be what has been having a few wrestlers reconsider their contracts and stuff. There's also a video, one of my favorite TikTokers. Hold on, I want to make sure I definitely give her props. Let me just make sure I say her name right. Sorry. Haven Rain. Or Heaven Rain. I probably said her name wrong anyway, despite me saying I want to say it right. She, like her video started with literally, she listed all these storylines in WWE that they did nothing with after WrestleMania, and I just said, and my thing is like, where is the common sense, the storytelling, the thing that modern wrestling gets accused of not having enough of is storytelling. Now, do not get me wrong, I think Jacob Fatu challenging Roman is very exciting, but haven't brought this up. A lot of people brought this up. Where's Drew McIntyre? Where's Randy Orton? Why is Gunther attacking Cody? What is happening right now? What is going on right now? What are we doing? What are we doing? What is happening? How do you let the New Day go? I don't understand that. A gimmick that literally was supposed to be DOA when they created it. And these three amazingly talented athletes, these amazingly talented characters, made that gimmick work. I knew there was going to be more crazy things that happened after WrestleMania, after the releases. I knew more craziness was coming down the pipe. I could never have predicted this. Not letting the New Day slip through your fingers. God forbid they go to the AEW. You want to talk about a paradigm shift. And then I heard a theory that another friend of mine, shout out to Hollywood Terry, that sent me, of a potential loss of a major superstar. The star was Roman Reigns. I debated saying it because it's just theory. This is all just theory. So I have no knowledge if this is true or not. Because he may be one of the people they're asking to take a pay cut, which makes so little sense to me that I can't fathom having Roman Reigns on your roster and willing to cut his pay. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a time that could have made sense when he was not quite connecting with the audience. Even then, his T-shirt sales were doing pretty good. He was getting booed and whatnot, but people cared enough to boo. That's just, that's the thing. JC is one of the first people I heard say this, and I always believe it's so true. If you do not like something in pro wrestling, don't react to it. That'll guarantee you probably won't see it again. One reason why the Miz is still around, people react to him. Doesn't matter. You can go, boo the Miz. Guess what? You booed. You made noise. That means he's sticking around. And then Bubba Ray Dudley said this on Busted Open Radio, And I always have a love-hate relationship with his takes. I don't always agree, but every now and then he'll say something. I'm just like, it's actually a really good point. This was one of those times. Obafemi on the post media scrum, if that's what or post WrestleMania interview, however you want to say it, called out Roman Reigns, and even Roman Reigns acknowledged that he heard that and was like, he can get it too. Roman Reigns suggested, what if the very next night Oba just challenges Roman right then and there and wins the World Heavyweight title, just out and outright. I hadn't really heard this. I think I heard it in passing, but I hadn't really heard the term hotshot booking before until he said it. How do I want to say this? Hotshot booking has its place. It really does. I really do think that sometimes it can work. Honestly, I think the hotshot booking would work there because having Oba come out of that match with Brock as hot as he was, have him go in, just take the title off Roman, off rip. And then have Jacob say, oh, you couldn't get the job, oh, so you got the job done, but you couldn't keep the job going, or something like that, and then make it a triple threat. And then Oba beats them, and have like maybe like one of them screw the other over, and I was gonna get the pin until you stepped in and blah 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 blah, and then have them fight over who, like, the whole tribal. I'm not trying to be tribal chief. I just want the tribal chief has kind of thing. Do that. I don't see the point and trying to do all this advertising, all this stuff, but then you're going to shoot yourself in the foot with the people that everyone cares enough to watch in for the advertising for. Again, I have no knowledge if this is a true theory or not. It's just a theory that was put out there about Roman Reigns, about a potentially unhappy Roman Reigns, and if he left. I wouldn't care how most people feel about it. If I knew Roman Reigns was on the market and I had the money to hire him, I'm writing a check as the second his contract is up, the second the 90-day or whatever day clause is over, my checkbook's open and I have my name written on the bottom line, and the number would fill it automatically. I'd call him. What's the first number he says? Here, show up in my wrestling program. And everyone's like, you spent all that money, we about to make 10 times that off the t-shirts. I don't get this. I legitimately do not understand this. And this is coming from a fan who does not own a wrestling company. I don't. I've never owned a wrestling company. I've never booked anything. I'm a fan who's just watched for a good chunk of my life. And I try to stay pretty positive when it comes to wrestling. Power positivity. And when I see guys like the New Day, it's like when they let go of R-Truth, which made just as much sense as this does. And yet, though, they didn't let them go, but you can't shortchange guys who could still go, still bring in great storyline, and still have the people cheer or boo them. When they did all that stuff to Big E, and Big E's retired now from in-ring competition, and hey, good for him. I hope all works out for him in his life. He's a great guy. But the New Day were still great heels. It's never like they went out there and the crowd didn't react to them. It's not that they never went out there and the crowd didn't make any kind of noise. You want that. You want the crowd to make noise for your superstars. And where is LA Knight? Where is LA Knight? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, called this WCW 2.0, which is ironic because that's what everyone calls AEW, or called AEW. It's WCW 2.0. Like they called Tony Khan just a mark with a check. A mark, for those of you who don't know in wrestling terminology, a mark is just a wrestling fan or like a diehard wrestling fan or whatever. They call Tony Khan a mark with a check. The mark with a check is letting a lot of people go out and have bangers like every night. everyone who was worried about this Darby Allin run with the title, maybe it will end soon, but he's already 2 matches in, and they've been stellar. Tommaso Ciampa, Brody King, stellar matches. And you still have MJF lurking around like a shark, because that's the brilliance of it. Yeah, you get the match is over, bing bang boom, and all that kind of stuff. You can say whatever you want about that, but the fact that you have like an angry, pissed off, complaining, whiny MJF, that's the best MJF. When MJF thinks that everyone is against him and he is better than everyone, even the champion, that's the best MJF, because he so won't shut up. And then whatever he says is gold. Him and Tony Storm is like, it's like those are 2 people that whatever comes out of their mouth, it's gonna be gold. And it's so annoying that they're that good at that. It's so annoying. And you know what? Let's call a spade a spade. WWE has that in droves. They're just not using them. And they let 2 of them go. They let Kofi and Xavier go. No one knows where LA Knight is. No one knows where Drew McIntyre is. No one knows where Randy Orton is. Has CM Punk been back on TV since at the Raw after Mania? Now, I like what they're doing with Jacob Fatu. That's cool. But then they and I almost forgot this. It looks like they released Jeff Cobb and Tonga Loa. Well, considering they just completely torpedoed the feud they had been in for the past 6 months by releasing all of the Wyatt Six, that kind of tracks. And then they had Jacob go out and destroy the entire group of them by himself, which, by the way, I'm never against that, because sometimes that just proves how strong a superstar is about taking out a whole group. Sting did it with the NWO. Luger did it, I think, once. I think Diamond Dallas Page was one of the first guys to really turn them down and just give a straight up diamond cutter to Scott Hall. So, you have guys who do that. That doesn't make to me, that never doesn't make the stable look weak, because they're just trying to show how strong this superstar is. And I don't think that makes the stable look weak. It just means that makes that superstar look strong. You know what I mean? So I don't get what we're doing. I do not understand the thought process here. I can't. Because if your whole goal is to make all this money, you want to make oodles of money and everything, okay, I get that. Why are you getting rid of the people who make the money? Because when the advertisers see people aren't watching them, they're going to pull out. They're going to start, taking their products elsewhere to people who are going to watch. Other companies. It didn't have to be AEW. MLW just signed Brick Savage. Shout out to Brick Savage. He wrestles down here a lot, so I gotta give him a shout out. But shout out to Brick Savage. But not just that. You have National Wrestling Alliance. They're still doing great. Shout out to Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, who's affiliated with them now through NWA Texas. You have local promotions that can do stuff and put it online and get like deals with like title match or something. River City Wrestling, RCW. Shouts out to RCW. You're giving away, or rather you're sending away your earnings. How do you run a business like that? And how do you expect to keep the model going if you're getting rid of the thing that got you the money in the first place? Because I don't care what anyone says. The New Day, they made WWE buckets of money. You know what one shirt I wanted to get and never did get? I wanted to get a Kofi Mania shirt or a Kofi Kingston shirt when he was going to challenge the WWE title, and I couldn't get one. They sold out before I could order one. And by the way, I'm only mad that I didn't get one. I'm not mad that they sold out. Thank God they did. They should have. And this kind of thing makes me think that maybe AJ Styles and other guys retiring wasn't just about wanting to be done with wrestling. Maybe they knew the conversations that were being had and saw the writing on the wall. Which makes me sad for the people who are still there. Because there is rumor to the wrestlers who have taken the pay cut. And I know that people are getting on the wrestlers who took the pay cut, or like say, oh my God, they sold out. No, some people need the job. Some people need the job. Some people need the jobs, and they figure 50% of a quarter of a billion, if that much, is better than nothing. So it may suck, but they some people have to do it, man. I don't knock people who who are still making money and like something they just have to do, they have to do. I can't knock that, because in those moments, it's like, yeah, I also have, they also got families. They got people that rely on them. You never know what people are going through, man. The people, is the most successful people, like the people who are living the life. They got stuff they're dealing with too. And I am not gonna sit here and pretend like, people who took that pay cut, who took less money, they're just like, that was an easy decision for them. You know what I mean? I don't understand this. I don't understand how we got here. I don't understand how we are let, because pro wrestling, they gotta wrestle somebody, and you're getting rid of half of the roster. You're getting rid of most of the roster. How does that help? What does that do? How does that benefit the company overall? I don't understand that. I don't get that. I don't see the logic here. And maybe I'm just not supposed to. Maybe you're just a fan, you don't get it. Yeah, okay, you know what? Maybe I am just a fan. But as a fan, I can tell you this kind of stuff makes me not want to watch. Because I can't trust that you're going to do right by the people who are still there. Here's another example. Io Sky and Asuka have a match coming up at Backlash. They had this big sit down interview, this real passionate, really good promo with each other to discuss, talk about the match coming up. That should have happened at Mania. It should not have happened at Backlash. Backlash should probably be like the rematch, like, hardcore rules or something like that. This match should have happened at Mania, and Kyrie should still be here in WWE. Unless there's rumors are true, she just wants to go back to Japan. But then again, I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if all this nonsense has something to do with that too. At the end of the day, I think the question will always be, what are we doing? Where are we going? What is the point? Because the point is to make money, which, by the way, that's an okay point to have. You're not going to do it if you continuously shoot yourself in the foot with the people who are your biggest stars. Another friend of mine told me that this TKO deal was going to get bad. He called it years ago. He said this is going to be bad. Sooner or later, it's going to be terrible. I believed him then because of how serious he said that. Because and I don't know how he knew, but I believed him. I was like, okay, man, like you're convincing me. Like I didn't know anything about TKO really before all this. So he just said, I know how I've seen them run other businesses, and this is gonna get bad. I was like, okay, you're convincing me. And everything he said since then has started to come true. I don't know what's gonna happen next. I don't know where we're going from here. I just know that pro wrestling looks like it's in the middle of a regime change. And people who you thought did not have a chance to rise to the top before just may be at the top by the end of this year. A friend of mine joked, the friend who I said called this WCW 2.0. He made the observation that in 5 years in 2031, that'll be 30 years since Vince bought WCW and Shane McMahon showed up on Nitro, announcing that he signed the contract to get WCW. How poetic would it be is if in 2031 Tony Khan walks out on Monday Night Raw announcing that he has purchased WWE. And at this rate, 2031 is being generous. It could happen before this year's over. Who knows? All I can say is I really hope they get this together, because this is disappointing. This is very disappointing. You guys know what to do. Like, comment, all that good stuff. But yeah, Yeah. Golly. Man, I would love to talk about WWE and not it being a super depressing video with this depressing music that I have to play over since I stopped talking so much. Dang it. I think honestly we started I think we owe Triple H an apology. I'm starting to wonder how much control he's really had over the past few years. And TKO just kind of torpedoing all the good stuff he's been trying to do. Anyway. Like I said, you guys know all the good stuff. Comment, like, do what you do if you feel like it's all good. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. Catch you on the next one. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. You know, this crazy world. Be good people. Minasan, sayonara. Peace.